Hello and welcome to MotoGP Mac, where MotoGP fans come to congregate and fanboy spirited tread.
You made a balls of that anyway, kid. How are you
Yeah,
doing, sir?
I'm fixing my phone, folks, and it's screwing me up. So,
Ah, yeah. Jake's having problems getting it in the hole, is it?
yeah, oh, it's just stuck there
Something,
sideways. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
something's gone in your hole sideways. Ooh.
Yes.
Awkward. Anyway,
Uh,
how has your week been?
uh, Pretty lousy, I gotta say. I can't look back and go, wow, that was a memorable one. But I can't make out in a women's prison with a carton of cigarettes.
I know it was a long ass week to be fair. Saying that, some interesting stuff has happened around the place, and the Japanese Grand Prix at the weekend. Always good to have a race, but yeah, pretty, pretty good weekend if you are a Pecco fan. To be fair,
Yeah, but Pecco, you know what? Pecco, this where we differ. I don't see Pecco. I know he won, but he just doesn't seem to have the same will as he had last year. He doesn't seem to have the same confidence he did last year. Like when he gets that push comes to shove, I don't see him going balls to the wall that 99% or 10 pence at the end of the race.
yeah, I think there's a couple of things going on there, right? Like Pecco, in my view, realizes now that he cannot make a mistake. Do you know what I mean? And
It's
I,
rattling him. Yeah.
no, I don't think it's rattling him. It's just like he has to take a sensible pill and be, okay, if someone is going to be faster than me, they're going to be faster than me, and I take the 20 points and I try and manage that gap. Like I, there's 4 races left now after today. He's how many points? 10 points behind. There's 4 races left,
Yep.
which is what? How many points? So there's 148 points left. So he's 7.5% on points behind of the points available. At this stage I would prefer to be the one behind than the one ahead. Do you know what I mean? Because the one
Uh-huh.
ahead, you're kind of squeaky bum time trying to manage a situation, and it's going to be all new for Martin, really, Joe, to be leading for so long. Um, like the only time I would want to be ahead in the championship, if it was anyway close, is going into the last race. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like if he's 10 points clear in the last race, you're like, okay, he's a really, really good chance of winning it. I don't see any favorites now, though. Really, I don't. Because what I can see happening, one is I think there's another swing or two to come in this. Do you know what I mean? And like I was looking at it, this like on the race today where Martin was closing him down, and all that was going off in my head was like, right, we had this in Misano, we had this in Mandalika. Do you know what I mean? You need to just kind of take your sensible pill and think.
Yeah.
And he openly came out and said, I lost it in turn 3 and I shat myself. Do you know what I mean? He's
Yeah.
like, because he realized, oh, fuck, what could have actually just been, Joe, that Pecco taking 5 points out of me could have been Pecco taking 25 points out of me and therefore putting himself in
Uh-huh.
the lead of the fucking championship. It would have been a 10-point
Yeah.
swing the opposite way. Now, the only thing is that I think Pecco would be more comfortable with a points advantage, even if it was the other way around right now. I think Pecco would be quite comfortable with it because he went through what he went through last year.
Yeah.
And while Martin
Last
is
year he had more of a time. Didn't he have more of a time buffer? Or am I?
no, he did not really against Martin. Martin was like, if you remember, actually, he was only coming back stronger, if you remember, because he had that crash in Catalonia. Do you remember with the leg? So he wasn't on his best form either, which allowed Martin back in.
Right.
Um, And this year, like Pecco has won 8 races this year, and the only other ones to do that, I believe, are Stoner, Rossi, Lorenzo, and Marquez.
Yeah,
They're the only.
he said Marquez was the only one to do it.
No, Marquez is the only one that has 10 in a season.
Yeah, when they said that, I thought the same thing. I thought it was a 10 run.
Yeah. No. Like what they're saying is that, Joe, those are the riders who got to 8 in a year. Marquez got to 10, obviously, because he has 8, obviously, but he got to 10. So, so it will be interesting. I still don't think it is the end of it. I think there is going to be a really critical swing coming in. See that for me this weekend was like, if Pecco pushed on and crashed, it's game over. And like, I'll go on the record now and be like, in the next race, if someone fucks up and the gap grows to a race win, a weekend's race win. So if someone clears out an extra 37 points or the gap goes to 37 points, then that is definitely an advantage. Then, do you know what I mean? You definitely turn around and say that person is favorite. But even now, like still like a 20-point gap with 140 odd to go, it's still one mistake. It's running wide and running into the gravel and finishing 15th. The other person finishing in thing, like, you can half that gap in one race weekend. So I don't think it's there yet. But if that gap went out to 37, 40, which was highly possible at the start of this weekend if Pecco fucked up. So that's what I think. Like, Pecco wasn't showing anything amazing, but he was incredibly solid. Also, I think Ducati have come up with a new mapping for Pecco.
You think so?
I think so, but it's only for Pecco. And the reason I say that is Pecco has constantly run out of fuel. Constantly. That was my only fear in today's race, was he's running that fuel to such a tight margin. We saw it in Mandalika. Marquez had to push him back to the thing. Do you remember? He got the Marquez taxi. Right. We saw it at the end of, was it qualifying? And we saw it at the sprint race yesterday. Pecco was pushing the bike back into the Parc Fermé area. So that bike is running very, very lean on fuel, or else it is not running so lean on fuel, but it's not, but it's more thirstier than Martinez. And I know Pecco came out and he said, "Oh, we were running a different." Like he was like, the reason the gap came down was not because he rolled out. No way. Like, I initially thought that he rolled out. Then he said, "Oh,
no, it was a pretty big gap. He rolled down. It looked pretty damn quick."
He didn't. He ran out of fuel on the slowing down lap, so that bike didn't have enough fucking fuel on that last lap, and that's why it was running on fucking fumes on that last lap. And I can guarantee you that's why that gap came down. It wasn't of course, because like, he's not going to throw away a second. No rider is going to throw away intentionally a second on the last lap, knowing the fact that Bastianini is coming, who's probably going to come at you and is going to attack you straight away. Do you know what I mean? He's not going to hesitate. Do you know what I mean? He's going to attack you.
No need to right? He's going to another team next year, so he's not going to give anybody. Because the announcer says, who's he going to give a break to? He's not going to give a break to either one of them. Why? Because Spencer was behind, or
Marquez was behind him. So like, if Bastianini was coming through, Marquez was going to come through with him. Like, do you know what I mean? He was going to be the ultimate tow truck in that move. So for me, Pecco didn't slow down. You know, I think that the bike was fucking so low on fuel that it couldn't give the horsepower that it normally gave. So, and then he made an excuse saying, I couldn't run with a thing because I was on a new mapping, and I think that new mapping wasn't calibrated correctly. Which I was like, in today's race now, because it was because initially I thought when he said that he had a new mapping that was less power, right?
Right.
I was like, okay, that's probably actually because it's murky weather and it's not raining, but it could rain at any stage. Do you know what I mean? And the last thing you do want is that if it's I won't say drizzling, but it's a more mental rain. Is to
Right.
have high horsepower and be afraid and to be thinking about, if I crack this throttle, is she going to spin up on me? So I just thought, there was definitely something there with the new mapping. There was no there was no trouble with Martin or any other Ducati running out of fuel. So, and Pecco has done it a number of times. So leads me to believe that there could be a special Pecco Pecco map. Now, saying that, look, we all know that Ducati shared the data, so the lads would see that mapping straight away.
What happened to well, I thought that might go out the window with Primac going to Yamaha, though.
No, it won't really, because like they still need to see the data. Do you know what I mean? So now what they won't see is they won't see any of the 2025 data. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
So like I remember at the test, and they were talking about Marquez as well, and I know Grassini is still staying with Ducati, but there was like Simon was actually saying, oh, would it makes sense to roll the 2025 bike down, or 2025 engine down to Grassini? And for me, it doesn't, right? Because it didn't happen anyway, right? But for me, it didn't, because there was such a danger of a leak or that stuff getting out there. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Whereas if you keep it tight to your chest within the team, it's not going anywhere. So yeah, so look, I thought it was good. I thought Martin was absolutely excellent, coming back from 11th. I think every single Marc Marquez fan in the world now automatically has a problem with the green paint. Something that I've had a problem for thing. Now, I personally believe that the system didn't trigger it, but I genuinely believe a team manager informed them that Mark went on to the green paint.
You think so?
That's why the delay was 100% believe it. Like, do you know what I mean? Like the Mike Webb came out and said, or whoever it was came out and said that
doesn't it have to hit the paint? Doesn't have to hit the paint to trigger, because it looked like the tire was hanging over.
No, he was on it. He was on it.
That's right. That was a different time. They showed one
shot from the outside looked like he wasn't on it.
Yeah.
And then the other shot looked like he clearly was on it. And look, even Mark himself said, I get it, rules are rules, but the length of time and whatever. And that's what leads me to believe. And Mike Webb said that the system didn't pick it up, but there had to be a manual review. So for me, that means someone emailed Race Direction and said, on turn whatever, Marc Marquez touched the green.
Yeah.
Why wasn't he penalized? ... And look, we've seen it in Formula One, and like, if I was a team manager, I would be telling my operations director or whatever, if I had a chance to put any fucking rider back,
you use it.
And Grassini would do it, and any other fucking team would do it if they thought that their rider was going to get up another spot or thing. So for me, 100%, that was not initiated by the tech, and that's what the delay is. But I think the FIM and them are trying to play the political game and not put out there that AT reported them. It will have to. I think it will have to come to light with Grassini, but I don't think Grassini will be allowed to publicize it, if you know what I mean. But it is a stupid rule.
No, it's one of them rules. That was never any good from Trump Street.
I can understand it in maybe like a slight S-type chicane, where if you go roll over the curb,
right,
you're going to gain 2-3 tenths of a second. But like coming off a curb, you know what I mean? You're not going to gain. Do you know what I mean? And it's just fucking stupid. And I'm not a big lover of Mark and his attitude and whatever, but I do feel that he was hard done by in that situation where rules are rules. He touched the green paint, right? We've seen Brad Binder get fucking done for it. One time, maybe another time, he gained no advantage, but he was still done for it. So, I just think it was just crap, I suppose, for on Mark. But Mark didn't have any sparkle or shine besides that. Like, even if he did qualify, whatever it was, he wouldn't have had a hope to hold back Pecco and
No.
Martin tonight. Do you know what I mean? And they just had too much for him. And when you go back to,
It seemed like he was losing on the straights too. His
yeah,
trap numbers were even low.
But like, even you have to remember, right? Firstly, when you look at Motegi, right? Motegi is Honda's personal test track, right? And if you look at it, that track is it's a thirsty track, right? Which means that there's a lot of hard acceleration and open throttle in that, right? There's a few squiggly bits, but like if you look at the straights on that, right? It's all about engine, right? And it's all about your rear ride height device also. And if you look at the 23 to the 24, we know that the rear ride height device goes down. I believe it's somewhere in the region of 40 mil more on the 24 than on the 23. So the bike sits down another 40 mil, which is a lot on a thing. So when they're coming out, the bike is sitting lower and it's shooting them out of the corner. That does work on certain certain terms, but on other tracks, and like we saw, I think was it in Mandalika, where the 23 had better traction out of the corners. So on the long straights or the long punch out of the straights, the 24 seemed to have the advantage. And maybe this is actually what's wrong with fucking Honda, right? And because I think they've worn a groove around Motegi, right, at this stage, right? And maybe is that what the problem is that the corners aren't enough. So like the corners that are in the track aren't really relevant to, like, they're coming out, they're blasting down the straight and they're fine. Right? What a fucking great engine, right?
Right.
And the fucking thing won't turn. Do you know what I mean? And then the turns that are there's some Mickey Mouse ones, and then there's some fast and flowing ones, and like you're not going to come to a circuit that has many of either. So it just, for me, it just doesn't seem to be a good test track for today's MotoGP era. For years gone by when there was no aero and stuff, yes, perfect. Do you know what I mean? But now it just doesn't seem to be it. So it is pretty, I don't know, I think I just thought, I didn't expect too much out of Honda this weekend, but I don't think going around that track is doing them any favors, really.
Oh, by the way, did you see the KTM with was it Miller when he came around and they showed the flex of the swing arm?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh my God! Didn't you? I didn't know it was gonna snap in half.
Yeah, the chatter was fucking unbelievable.
Oh my God.
Now, also to note this weekend that I don't believe Miller has the new chassis update, but I do believe Binder and Pedro Costa, and they've been running it since Mandalika.
Yeah, your boy Pedro. I felt sorry for you.
I did call it though. You know what I mean? It was just like he's going to get caught out. I didn't. No, you were surprised that I didn't say that he was going to win. Actually, if I do remember correctly, and I said no, he's going to crash. Do you know what I mean? It's just. But look, this is all part of the learning for him. Like, do you know what I mean? And like he I don't know. Did you see the clip that I sent you from Instagram, right? But one of the things was like one of the commentators was saying that you were flying when you were leading, and he's like, "Yeah, tomorrow's race, do not talk about me." Do you know what I mean? So there's a bit of a thing, but again, look, I won't say rookie mistake, but I it's just,
It was so funny as he's sliding. He hasn't stopped yet. He's on his
Yeah.
back going, "Ah, Jesus Christ," And it's,
I think it was more actually, you stupid prick, or something like that, right? It wasn't Jesus Christ, right? Because he knew, like, you could see it coming in. He was maybe, I would say, about 12 inches offline, and you could see, and you're like, oh no, man. You're like, you know what I mean? But like Pecco was said about him that he just took too much speed. But to me, he looked offline to where he was, because if you do remember, Pedro takes an early entry into it, and this time that he went in, he was almost next to the curb. Do you know what I mean? So
right.
I thought it was pretty weird for him. But like, look, this is all part of the learning, and like he's officially rookie of the year anyway, right? But for me, I think, like, again, you cannot bemoan or give out about him. Like, he's doing exactly what he's supposed to do.
And more.
You
That
know,
bike's not the bike's not, shining. He's not the shining star in this situation.
it's like it's like that old saying in a Formula One car, right? You can make a fast car reliable, but you can't make a slow car fast.
Yeah.
And it's the same with the rider. You know what I mean? You can make a fast rider reliable, but you can't make a slowish one. Now, none of them are fucking slow, but you know
Right.
what I mean.
You get the idea.
Like, I think, like, put a cost on a Ducati, right? Take Digi Antonio's Ducati next season, right? Factory Ducati. I'm telling you this, and I shit you not. They all have a fucking problem then. Pecco, Marc Marquez, and then they'll have fucking Pedro that would 100%, in my view, be able to hang with them, would
Yeah.
not be afraid of them, and would actually change levels, and I think, like, what age is he? Like, he's still so young. Like, he doesn't give a fuck about crashing. Do you know what I mean? Mark is kind of
Like I said, he hasn't even stopped crashing, and he's sliding on his back on, "Oh shit."
shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Do you know what I mean? And it's I don't know. I really like the guy. I think he's not he's his own person, yeah, but he has that likability, which I think is really important. But he's old school, really, really old school. Like, you wouldn't see the shit that he comes out with. Like, it reminds you of the old days of racing when men were men. Like,
The sheep were scared.
yeah. So so yeah, look, I think for him it was just a bit lousy. Again, Maverick Vinales, man, fuck, I think he should just retire. To be fair, like, he was in front row.
Yeah.
2 laps
What
in, down to 12.
the Aprilia? They're up. They runs up in the front row, and you're trying to say, is it the bike, is it the rider, or is it both? But it's that's real hard to.
I think it's a bit of both. I think they've gone a bit the wrong direction on the bike. But I think that's mainly because maybe the riders. The bike was ready last year for an alien.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? But I don't know.
Who? They're technical. Did Aprilia hire their technical director first before KTM?
That's a very, very good question that no one will know the answer to. Only Aprilia. I think, obviously, the main technical guy from Aprilia is going to HRC next season, which is a big thing, right? That like HRC have now hired a European technical director. Okay, which is a very, very big thing, and there is kudos to, because look, HRC, and there's nothing wrong with the way that with the concept of promoting within a business, right? So, like, a junior engineer comes in, he shows the potential, and you move him up through the ladder. I think that's very commendable and whatnot. But the problem is that they've had 4 or 5 years, and especially in the past 2 or 3 years, they haven't understood the European mindset and way of racing now. And like you hear it even with Ducati, they're testing during the weekend. Might not always be Pecco, might not always be thing, but there could be a part thrown in here or there or the other place to test. So for me, when I'm looking at it, it's a really interesting concept. And it's not just Ducati are doing it, Aprilia are doing it, KTM are testing every weekend while racing. You kind of don't get that impression with Honda, you know. Like I've been looking at the bikes recently, right? And like
I got to pat myself on the back. My mentor had said when this all this when who was going to get bounce back first, and everybody said Honda at first, and I said no, it'll be Yamaha because Honda has the weakest engineering, and he had agreed with me, and no one else did, and he came out again and said, "Look,
Jake, I don't think Yamaha have bounced back."
Well, let's put it this way: they were the first ones to go in the right direction.
But they're not though. They're not. Like Fabio has done some fantastic results, right?
It's considered. Everybody's saying they're doing better than Honda is.
No, Fabio is doing better than Honda. Fabio.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's a tough call too.
Let's look at today's race, right? As an example, right? They had Remy Gardner out there who finished 19 seconds behind Alex Rins. 19 seconds. Right? Rins finished 8 or 9 seconds behind Fabio. Now I know Fabio ran out of fuel again, right? So again, like for me, you know, they're not making that much progress. Do you know what I mean? They're like Zarco, I think, passed Fabio when he was running out of fuel in the last lap, right? So may he been 3 or 4 seconds max ahead of him at home in Motegi, where Yamaha would have a lot of experience also. But the second bike, like it was way behind, and it was way behind the rest of the fucking Hondas. Do you know what I mean?
Like, I looked at that and I went back, and there was the one I think, and I'm thinking, was that the one weekend that Rins did pretty good, and I'm off? You know what I mean? Because Rins did do well in that one with Fabio, and I'm thinking, did I get that off? You know what I mean? I just happened to hit the one weekend looking at the results that it was both of them did pretty good. Because I looked at this time and it was like they were way off. Rins was off again a lot.
Like we look at it, right? Alex Rins has 20 points, right? Nakagami has 28 points. Zarco, 36 points. Do you know what I mean? Quadraro has 86 points. So, like, realistically, if we look at the Constructors' Championship, right? 86 of Yamaha's 97 points have come from fucking...
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So take out that one guy and take out who's the top guy in thing. Who is top? Zarco. Take out Zarco's 36 points. Honda technically, like Honda have 56 points, so take out the 36 from what's his name, Zarco. Yeah. So Honda are on 20 points, right? And Yamaha would be on 11.
Yeah.
If you take out their first rider.
Did say that because Honda took another step backwards. Now, I don't know if that was something he was looking at that we didn't see, but
yeah, I don't know. Look, I've always gone on. I'll judge it by the second rider.
Right? Oh yeah, you always have to do it by the second rider. But I think he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, but I don't.
Because if you have both second riders not going well, then what do you do?
But that's the potential of the bike, right? Mm-hmm. Fabio is a clear alien, right? Fabio is 0.4 of a second a lap. We know that, right? So now you're going back and you're looking at Fabio. So Rins is in that kind of 4/10, 5/10 off Fabio, right? So there you have your not average rider. I don't want to call anyone an average rider, right? But that's the base of the bike, and that base of the bike is no better than the Honda.
Right.
That's my point. I'm not seeing that development now. What could be necessarily happening, and I would think it potentially is that Yamaha are building that bike to Fabio's specification.
Oh yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's pushing further and further from Rins, right? Which is fine. Now next year for Yamaha will be, in my view, will be more proof of the pudding for us, right? Have they gone the right way? Because they'll have 4 bikes out there, and we can take out properly the lead bikes, and then there's 3 other bikes there. Now, I will also put in, I am well aware that Rins has missed a number of Grand Prix this season due to injury and that, and I'm not saying that, but I'm looking at Rins when he does finish. It's not in the top 10. It's not towards the top 10. It is 15th, 16th. Do you know what I mean? And I realize that he's injured, and it's not a piss on Rins thing. It's the only way. Like, you cannot measure Yamaha's success with Fabio. That's all I'm saying, because that's the same as measuring Honda's success with Mark.
Yeah.
Which we've all agreed.
Which is there's all
you can't. You know what I mean? The Alien does that extra little bit.
I started thinking, well, is it the wrong way to go with the following Fabio? But then again, in 27, it's all going to be down to the rider anyway, because the bike's going to be such a fucking dud. All right, that it's all going to go back to who has the best riders. Everybody's going to have a Briggs and Stratton under their ass. So
I know, but look, I just don't see. I don't like. I will 100% say that I could see that the pace has picked up, but like they're still far behind. And realistically, I don't see anyone except Aliens getting on and improving that. But saying that, with Honda, I do give him a big respect on the fact that they've actually chosen to go to a European technical director now.
Yeah, that was
he's coming. I can't think of his name now. He's coming from Aprilia, which I wasn't too shocked after the season that Aprilia had. I think he's under a lot of pressure because he's gone the wrong direction with the bike, and made the bike either too technically hard to ride, or they've just completely.
I was really surprised when I don't know which boss it was from Honda, flat came out and said, "Our problem is we have weak engineering," quote unquote. And you're going, wow, for Honda to admit that, it's a step in the right direction. You got to admit the problem before you're going to fix it.
Well, I would kind of disagree in that, right? Because I was watching an interview with Mark, and I'll do a video on this, right? But Mark turned around and said, that he's really happy to see that that engineer from the European engineer has gone in, and it's a really cheap way for the factory to fix the problem. And he was going on about Honda's budget and this, that, and the other. And he said, look, Honda have one of the largest budgets in the paddock, but the decisions are made by 3 or 4 people that are not directly involved in the race team. And that's what the problem is.
That does not help things matters at all.
So I think this guy coming in, would be smart enough to say, listen, I'm going to run the race team. Do you know what I mean? You supply me the budget, I'll run the race team. I'll do the technical development. Know your place. So I think there's definitely has to be a little bit of cadence put in there on it. So we'll wait and see. Look, and then obviously the KTM guy going to Aprilia. So I think, look, I don't think these things were your man's announcement. Like, I thought Aprilia's announcement was quite canning. Joe, I mean, they announced him, and then they kind of said that we've gotten rid of the other fella, but he was going to Honda. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So it's kind of.
And what are they going to work on? What are they going to work on if everything's frozen?
Well, Honda have lots to work on.
No, I mean like a Aprilia and then the APM.
Well, you see, the KTM's problem is not engine; it's handling. Do you know what I
Right.
mean? And Aprilia's problem is engine, right? So that's why Rivola is.
That's what I'm thinking of. I was thinking of.
So like there's a lot of pressure there now for Aprilia to get that engine right. Like I think it has to be down around 20-25 horsepower that to the others, which is very hard to recover. Do you know what I mean? And it's great to have a bike that takes the corner well, but you know if they're stuck behind someone, they don't have the grunt to get past them. So
It didn't look that bad this race for some reason, as far as
uh,
coming down the straights and coming off the corners.
it didn't look bad, but like again, they did look vulnerable.
It wasn't like with the Yamaha where you see the Ducati just walking away from it and gapping it instantly.
Yeah,
You couldn't see the gapping from the camera's point of view.
yeah. No. Look, it didn't look so bad, but again, like the riders' performance wasn't great. Like, do you know what I mean? And it's like Maverick was towards the front at the start of the race. Was he front? No, I can't remember. And like 2 laps into it, he was 12th.
Yeah.
You can't get fucking beaten up like that. And you'd say, okay, fine if it was ones, but this is every time Maverick fucking starts. People.
I know.
And now he's going to go into, unfortunately, a cesspit, which is KTM.
Yeah.
In the way of like, you don't perform, you're like, get the fuck out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Grady days and nice guys that he had at a pro, you ain't gonna be here.
Exactly, and look, that's why I still think it was a crazy decision for him.
Talking about crazy decision, Anaya, he got to be kicking himself for going over there.
I don't know, like, right, like going up against Martin is a big thing, right? And I think when Ducati dumped them, I think his manager was just looking for a home straight away, rather than waiting out the Aprilia thing or whatever. Because I think he would have been in Aprilia next to Martin, and it wasn't moving fast enough, and then they just wanted to secure his seat. Now, saying that, I can see him getting on well, but his problem is the first 5 laps, 6 laps.
Yeah.
Tires get warm. Once the tires get warm, he's fine. And then last few laps, he's very light and whatnot. And I would say this is it, and he'd probably be world champion 2 times over at this stage if he could sort out the first 5 to 6 laps of his race.
Tire whisperer.
Well, yeah, but like that's where all the damage is done. He had to make a couple of passes today, and then when he got to Mark, he didn't really have anything. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, and qualifying. When are we going to have somebody have a clean qualifying? We're not having one guy crash and end up starting at 12th and having to jump through the field.
You see, that's always the risk, isn't it? With qualifying them, when do you go?
Yeah,
and on a dry day, the track is always at the best time to cross the finish line to start your next lap is with 1 second to go. Do you know what I mean? Because that's what things tell you, that's when the most rubber is going to be down. It's going to be the most ideal track conditions, whatnot. But the problem with that is there's always some dickhead that crashes. You know what I mean? And I know that sounds a harsh thing to say, but you're on a hot lap. You've just done 18 out of the 23 corners, and then you come across a fella in the gravel, and you're like, dickhead. You know what I mean? You just spoiled my fucking lap, dickhead. Do you know what I mean? Now there was a lot of questions about I don't know who was it Alicia Spargaro fell in Acosta's lap or whatever, but whoever fell in front of Acosta fell just in front of Acosta, and they were like, "Oh, Acosta's lap should have been done because of the yellow flag." But he was actually gone through the sector before the yellow flag came out because he was just behind the rider. And just to clarify for people, because obviously people don't know, is that if you're in front of me and we're both on hot laps, and you slide off and I continue going, right? The yellow flag is out for you, but just because I'm just behind you and gone from that corner, I'm not governed by that yellow flag in that area. Does that make sense? I don't have to roll out of my lap because you crashed in front of me. Whereas people were saying that was the case, and it's not. It's if you're coming into an area that there is a waved yellow flag, and let's be fair, these bikes are moving at such pace. You slide off the track, and you're gone through the next corner. Of course, you're going to miss the yellow flag. Do you know what I mean? It's back to a green flag by the time.
How angry Mir was? He was talking to himself with the crash with Zarco.
With Zarco?
Yeah.
No, Mir didn't crash with Zarco.
Yeah.
No, it was Nakagami and Zarco, and Mir and Alex Marquez. Alex Marquez rode up the arse of
They got locked together.
Yeah, that was Alex Marquez. Yeah.
Was that Marquez? Okay, I think it was.
Yeah. He got a long lap penalty for
the whole time, the whole entire weekend. All this work, but it was locked together like two kids with braces.
Yeah, I actually have a picture of it. I'll send you on. But no, Alex Marquez actually got a long lap penalty for it, which he's giving out about because Jack Miller didn't get any penalty for crashing in Mandalika, which he does have a very valid point. But again, this is the whole thing with the stewards, and one of the things that
crashes this year. There's been a lot of crashes this year, I think, and people keep saying it's a year of mistakes. I just think they're just running so close time wise, right? That the competition's so rough and it's so close that something got to give.
Yeah, but like that like I said this in the last podcast. It was like, to get that 3 or 4 tenths of a second, or even 2 tenths of a second, right? You have to go to so much of the edge that it's so easy to make that critical error, right? Like, it's actually easier probably to run 3 tenths of a second. Like, Mark is probably actually an example of this, right? Because he's not going to the nth degree that Pecco and Martin are. The fucker's constantly picking up podiums. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. And he's constantly benefiting from the two boys making mistakes. Do you know what I mean? So, like, there is a thing to say, Joe, if you're riding 3 or 4 tenths off the actual limit, are you safer and you're better off? Do you know what I mean? Is that the way you win the championship? Do you know? But like, it is a good championship battle between himself, Mark, and Bastianini.
Yeah.
I can't wait actually to see how that plays out, because what is it now? I think there's 2 points between it. Do you know what I mean? So between them. So I think it'll be good to watch that out. And then are they too far behind? Well, like they in my view, they're at that cusp now. They're probably too far behind. I think they're like 79 or 80 points or something like that behind, with 4 to go and 148 on it. There, you're saying your mathematical probability is gone, right? It's not completely gone, right? it's not fucking completely gone, because the two boys got fucking hammer and tongs off each other in the next 2 rounds, and all of a sudden there's still 50 points to go for it, and you're 25 or 30 points behind. You know what I mean? So we wait and see.
By the way, I was looking when you say about Pecco having a map. Pecco was the fastest trap speeds all weekend.
Yeah, I reckon that engine was turned up, and there's another thing that I am trying to find out is what engine number they're on.
Bike was slow in comparison. It was like 4 or 5 consistently 4 or 5 kilometers an hour down on traps.
Yeah, but Alec, I wouldn't read too much into that, because an awful lot of that is the rear ride height system, right? You have to remember, that does have an effect. Like the fastest person down the chute, with an average the highest top speed was 315, and that was done by Jorge Martin. Vinales 314.8, Bastianini 314.8. Pecco wasn't that fast.
Let's
Pecco
you just threw me off altogether because I kept seeing 316 on the television.
No. Pecco's top speed
I'm
was
saying when the race is there, they're showing that speed that he hit during the last, the last.
313 at 313 was his top speed.
Unless I'm going absolutely batshit crazy, it was 316.
Yeah, I'm looking at it here now on the results.
Yeah, I know
313.0 was Pecco. So like even where was Mark though? Trying to look for Mark. Where Mark Marquez, he was slower. He's 312.1, but Jorge Martin was 315.7. Now look, remember with these, right? They could be already on the brakes when these top speeds are being measured. Do you know what I mean? So what you could see is they did hit 316,
and
then they were in the brake zone for the thing. So Pecco could have braked earlier in that corner. Do you know what I mean? So it could have been coming down.
It could be the sight too. I almost missed it because it went that goof for the thing to start. Every time they go to Thailand or Japan and the other side of the earth, right? Mm-hmm. The time gets screwed up, folks. That's why we stayed up all weekend. At the last minute, my buddy called me up, says, "You up?" Because it said, and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. On the TV, it had 2 o'clock in the morning start.
All right, yeah. I was
this damn race.
I set my alarm for 5:57 a.m. I woke up and I turned on my site and I watched it on my phone with earphones in, and I got up then and I did a video. So I'd say probably the first time in years I watched the MotoGP race in bed, and didn't wake the house, of course, because I would get killed. Yeah, I thought the race was a good race in the fact that you were waiting for the mistake. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
One of them was going to make a mistake, and they took a. I did think when he was closing him down, would he get him? And then would we have an old argument? Like I do kind of remember saying to myself, could Marky Mark benefit here? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But look, Binder, Bezzecchi, I think they did quite well. I think with Honda, one of the things I was looking at in the last couple of races with Honda, I don't know, have they all gone back to different spec bikes? Like I'm looking at like, for example, the Repsol team. Mir was using one style of seat cowling, and Marini was using another.
Shouldn't that say that they're looking for direction again?
Yeah, but the only way you're going to find direction is by putting four fellas on the same fucking bike.
That's what I mean. Yeah,
and doing it, and they were doing that, but now they seem to go. And I was like, it's a bit weird, and I get it, right? That one rider might like the fact that they don't have the wing at the back where they have the small wing or what this, that, and the other. But I get it, but I also don't get it because a race is not the time to be like, instead of having 4 levels of race data, you now only have 1.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? And it's 1 for each individual rider. And I know there's different setups and this, that, and the other, but like if you're trying to find a solution to a problem, but you have 4 different riders and you have 4 different setups of fairings and this and that and the other, then it's not really going to work.
Problems, they're going that direction.
Yeah. So technically it's causing a bit of an engineering nightmare. I know that's just my view. I think other people will probably correct me and this, that, and the other. I thought it was pretty lackluster from Franco. I was expecting a little bit more from him this weekend.
Because he was starting to come back a little bit, for like a
Yeah,
couple races.
yeah. So I thought it was a little bit of that. I was impressed with Jack Miller. Like he made some fucking start.
Yeah.
And just kind of like they even said it like Jack will go backwards, but look, it's great to see him up there. Do you know what I mean? But like he was giving the fucking boys holly, like, do you know what I mean? That's what you want. And then
I'm sorry, we all like Jack, but I think Jack's day's done.
Jack is just not a front row rider. Do you know what I mean? And that's the way. I think he will do a brilliant job in Yamaha. I genuinely do. I think he will make that bike or aid that bike to be rideable. Do you know what I mean? And there's an awful lot of thing. I do think Guidotti will end up in Pramac. I'm not basing that on anything. I just think Guidotti will have that, and Pramac is kind of like is still a very family run thing, and Jack came out and was very strong against Thing and said he didn't believe that Guidotti was given the tools to make a success of KTM, which I don't know, is that right or wrong? But
I
look,
heard KTM were known for paying buku bucks for engineering, so I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah. So look, it's definitely going to be interesting. We have a break now for 2 weeks, which is three on the bound. I think I was saying this earlier. So I don't really know and understand why they're doing this. Like we have Japan, which was this week. Then we have 18th of October. We have the Australian Grand Prix. Then we have the Thai Grand Prix the following week. And then the following week after that, we have Malaysia. And then we have Valencia in Spain. And it's something I really don't understand about the series. Like we've just come off a triple header. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
We've 2 weeks off. We're into another triple header again. Do you know what I mean? And for a championship, it doesn't. For me, it doesn't really make sense. Do you know what I mean? Like why? Like when I look at the championship, for example, we started off in Qatar. 2 weeks later, we went to Portugal. 2 weeks later, we went to America. Then we went to Spain. May, we had 3 races in May. So we had a back-to-back in May. In the month of June, then I know there was one race that was cancelled, but in the month of June we only had one race. In the month of July we only had one race. So there was an 8-week period there.
I know, really, it was ridiculously long,
where we only had one race. Do you know what I mean? And I get it that there's the summer break there, and the race was cancelled, but packing them in back to back, you talked earlier on there about Pecco being conservative and this, they have to be. You know what I mean? There's no way they can go balls to the wall until Valencia. Do you know what I mean? At that stage, you're like, okay, if I crash, I had the fucking winter to recover.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Whereas right now, if they throw it up the road, they have to be in Australia, so they probably have a week to recover, and then they're traveling again. If you get me, to the other side of the world, and then they have 3 races on the belt, which again you have to be careful of. So, letting someone pass and taking the next 20 point and taking 20 points, while it's damaging, it's probably the lesser of 2 evils than crashing and injuring yourself. But anyway, so 2 weeks to a race. And yeah, a lot to talk about. Actually, there's a lot of things happening that I haven't really had a chance to do videos on. So next few videos should be good.
You always do a good job, pal.
I wish. But yeah. Other than that, I think that's it anyway from me this week. So the gruesome twosome.
Yep.
That's it. And I suppose, look, sure, we'll end up on that bombshell, and we will see everyone again this time next week again.
Take it easy, folks.
Ciao for now, little cow.